what does it mean to be manly? That is the question that the anime Dance Dance Danseur tries to answer. I personally think that this series does a pretty good job at giving an answer as well. To me, personally, I would never judge someone for their hobbies or things they're interested in. If I had a friend that told me they wanted to do ballet, I would absolutely support them because you know what? At least they have something they're passionate about, which is not something everyone can say. This series tackles this in a very interesting way. As we get through the series, we start to see the main character slowly realize what it truly means to be a manly figure he wants to be. It's not about being strong or brave or any of that. Sure, that helps, and for some people that is what it means to be manly. But in this case, that just isn't it. Being manly is all about sticking to your ideals and never letting anybody laugh at you or the people you care about and their passions in life regardless of what they are. His passion is ballet, but for so long he tried to hide the fact that he loved it so much to try to fit in with his ideal of what being manly is. But it just doesn't work because that just isn't what it's all about. And when he realizes that, we get some really awesome moments of him dealing with some people who were supposed to be his friends but really aren't. There's something about this series that resonated with me, not like some other series that tackle similar themes, but still. This series in a lot of ways feels like Welcome to the Ballroom, but once you start to get into the series, you start to see the differences of this series versus that one and start to realize just what makes both these series so good. I highly recommend that you give this series a go if you're sleeping on the show this season, as you might be able to find a passion for something again. You may have dropped a passion of yours because it just wasn't something that fell into your ideal image of what you wanted to portray yourself as in public. But in my eyes, you're just holding yourself back from being who you're truly meant to be by not allowing yourself to have these passions. And I think this series can help you re-spark that love for whatever it is you love doing. If you made it this far into the video, it would be awesome if you could leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I make new anime and manga content every week. Alright, let's talk about the characters more in depth to help explain what makes this series good in the first place. The characters in this series are pretty well written. Are they the greatest characters ever? No, but the characters are still pretty good. I actually want to start by talking about the side cast and move on to the main characters later. The side cast is interesting. I like the way this series portrays the main characters' friends. They're pretty traditional high school jocks who love sports and are pretty popular, which at first is their appeal, as at first it doesn't seem like they're all that bad of people, which makes the events that soon happen perfect for character growth on both their side and the main characters. As once everything develops, it makes the main character jump into action and start to be who he truly wants to be regardless of what the others say, which is really awesome. The way the main character is written is actually the best part of the series. He's a loudmouthed, obnoxious teenager who still doesn't know what he wants, which makes all of his development great. The way that he is able to be this outgoing and kind person despite deep down not being able to truly express himself is awesome. So once he finally has the opportunity to express himself as he truly wants, he becomes a bit more of a stubborn ass, not to say that he wasn't already though. Everything just comes together nicely and makes you really want to root for him so he can achieve his dreams, which is awesome. The main girl is not quite as interesting. I don't think she's bad and is actually a really good catalyst to get the main character to remember his passions and what he really wants to do in life. She herself has struggles she goes through. We don't get to explore them all that much as she gets a little overshadowed by her brother who struggles to a degree that is even worse than the main character. Her brother never had the same types of struggles as the main character as he was raised in a ballet family and never cared what others thought of him doing it. But he always had a lot of pressure put on him from his family to be this perfect dancer that can get all the best roles, which caused him to have a serious social complex and made him struggle to open up to others. It also holds him back from doing ballet properly, and until he meets the main character, that struggle doesn't really go away. This series writes some really amazing characters that I just love to explore more in depth as this series progresses. The art in the series is, well, art. I'm not saying it's bad or anything because I don't really think it looks that bad. It's just that there are some things that are weird about it. Like all of the characters having long necks. Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! That seems to be a staple in these shows about dancing, and I think it has something to do with the ideal dancing form or something. But either way, it still looks quite strange and can certainly throw some people off from the show and make them not want to watch it. But I promise you, despite the way the characters look in this series, the show itself is pretty good. And as for the animation, it is pretty solid around the board. All the movement is fluid and the dancing looks quite nice, and overall it just works really well. It's done by MAPPA, as is almost every other anime nowadays, so it isn't too surprising that the animation is solid, but the animation does really help to enhance the viewing experience and makes things a whole lot nicer to watch. The music in this series is really good. I like the soundtrack of this series a lot. It really helps to make the environmental scenes pop out and makes the dancing scenes a whole lot nicer as well. Overall, I would say that the music is one of the series' strong points as it really helps to get me more invested in the series as a whole. The OP is pretty good as well and gets you prepared to start a new episode every single week. So if you want to listen to some really good anime music, then I recommend that you listen to the soundtrack of this anime because it is really solid. Dance Dance Danseur sets out to ask the question, what does it mean to be manly? And it does so in a very good way by making the characters struggle to find out what they really want to do, by making their passion something unorthodox and not traditionally manly, like ballet, and that enhances the experience because we get to see the struggles of the main character as he comes to terms with the fact that he likes something not traditionally manly, and that is what makes him manly in the first place, which is really cool.